Hello everybody, today I want to make a really quick and informative video about something that I haven't actually talked about on this channel before. I think if I've talked to you one-to-one or something like that then you may know, but I don't think I've ever actually explicitly said on this channel. But for the past few months I have been doing a TEFL course. TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. And it is something that I have been doing for the past few months, but I wanted to make a video about it basically because I don't feel like there's a lot of videos out there. If you type in TEFL on YouTube, you get a lot of videos of people actually doing TEFL, so travelling to China and teaching there and stuff like that. But as for informative videos that actually explain what you would be doing, maybe if you're thinking about it or something, there's not actually a lot out there, so I figured I would make this video to sort of answer any questions to anybody that might be thinking of doing TEFL. There's a whole range of different TEFL courses that you can do. There's so many hours and things that you can do as well. Generally, if you have a degree plus a TEFL qualification, any school in a foreign country will take you on. Not all countries need a degree, but most like a degree. But there are all sorts of different hours you can do. You can do as little as 20 or as many as 150 hours. You can do a phone course, you can do it all online, you can do classroom courses and stuff like that. I did an online and classroom, so mine is 120 hours, 100 hours online and 20 hours in a classroom. I'm going to split this video into two parts. In this video I'm going to be talking about the classroom portion of it, and in the next video I'm going to be talking about the online stuff. I'll just really quickly mention that I am doing my TEFL course with TEFL.org.uk, which is just one of the many websites that you can do a TEFL qualification through. There's a lot out there. There's TEFL Academy as well, so definitely have a look around if you are thinking about doing it and seeing which one suits you the best. I just went with TEFL.org because it was a UK company, well, Scottish, and my friend did it through them, so I knew that they would be pretty good. So my experiences will be through them. So if you are doing a TEFL course through TEFL Academy, it might be a bit different, but mine was through TEFL.org. So the classroom section of this is 20 hours and it takes place over the span of a whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and the hours are from 9 in the morning until 8 on the Saturday, and I think 9 in the morning, while I think it's supposed to be about 6 on the Sunday, but I think we ended up staying later than that. I think it was about 7, half 7, something like that. It is a very, very intensive weekend. It is a lot of information to take in. I mean, 12-hour days is a long time. You don't really know what you're doing and you don't know anybody that's doing it either. It can be quite daunting, especially for me as very much a sort of introverted person. I was not dreading it because I obviously wanted to be there and doing it because that's part of my course, but I was dreading it, I'm not gonna lie. What's also great about the classroom courses is that they go to loads of different locations. One of the things that I was worried about was I don't live close to sort of the big cities, I suppose, so like Manchester, London, they're quite a bit of a drive for me, so I was sort of worried about getting there and worrying about accommodation and things like that. But luckily they have locations all up and down the UK, and there was one literally in my nearest town. I went in there and I said, I'm doing a TEFL course, will you show me where to go? And she sent me to a room that was actually the wrong room. It was for TEFL Academy and I was on TEFL.org. To be honest, I kind of wanted to stay in that first one originally because she had like desks, whiteboards and pens and notes and things like that, and I thought, oh, if it's just sort of sitting and taking notes I can deal with that. If it not having to talk, I'm much more like learn by notes rather than talking. So yeah, I was quite happy in that first class with like loads of tables and things, and then she was like, oh, you're not in this one. So I went to the next door one and there was no tables, it was just a bunch of chairs in a circle, and I thought, oh, bloody hell, it means we're gonna have to talk to each other. But actually, looking back on it, I really would rather do what I did rather than just the sitting and taking notes. It worked so much better, and I really feel like I got the most out of it that I could through that. That's one thing that I would say, is that if you are maybe a bit quieter, you have to sort of embrace it the whole weekend. If you just sit there in silence, you're not going to learn anything. You have to get involved and you have to interact with other people on the weekend course, otherwise it's just no point in doing it, basically. So in our class I think there was about 10 people, or was there maybe about 12, but it was quite nice because everybody was in the same boat and you went around and talked to everybody and they all had interest in travelling and teaching, so it was really nice to speak to people with similar goals. Over the course of a weekend, it's so quickly how you can bond to people actually. It was really great, and we got on really well at the end of it, so that was really nice. So when we walked in there, we were given one of these, which is just a little booklet introducing us to the sort of things that we would be doing over the course of the weekend, as well as just tips and things about what you might need when you're doing the course. Because that's the other thing with the classroom thing, is some people do it right at the beginning, so they do the classroom first and then do all the online stuff, and some people just do it after all their online things, get that all out of the way, and then do the classroom. Mine was sort of in the middle, so I'd done some of my online stuff and then the classroom, and then I've done more online stuff, so I was already familiar with some of the stuff he was saying. So I think that was probably the best way to do it actually, have some of the experience but not all of it, so that was quite nice. So we started off by introducing each other, and what was so great about this is everything that we did that first day could be used in a future lesson with students when you're teaching abroad, and that was really nice. So the way that we introduced ourselves was using alliteration to sort of describe who you are. So I said, I think, crazy Katie, and you had to stand up and do like a ugh sort of thing. So everything that we were sort of doing with each other could also be used in the future, which was really good. It means that not a second of the weekend was wasted. Even the sort of introductions to each other could be used in a future lesson. Depending on your company and which company you do your TEFL with, you might be encouraged to take notes, but our tutor guy, Steve, was very open about the fact that he didn't want us taking notes, and I don't think I have any notes in here for the whole. Oh, I've written down one website that would be good for when looking for jobs, but that's it. Like, I literally took down no notes, and for me that is saying something, because I take notes on everything. But it's taught in such a way that you really don't need to, because you just remember everything. It's a bit sort of that case of kinesthetic learning, where you just learn by doing and practicing throughout the whole weekend. So for all you haven't got notes to look back on, you don't sort of need them, because you sort of remember everything. But I found it really, really useful to do it through practicing rather than doing it through just copying notes down. One of the key questions that comes up when I tell people that I'm learning to teach English as a foreign language is, how do you teach kids that don't speak any English at all? Like, how would you go to China and teach a lesson when you don't speak Chinese and they don't speak English? How would you communicate with them? And that was one of the big questions I had, which was answered during this weekend. One of the hours on the Saturday, our teacher, he said, does anybody speak German? We were all like, no. So he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a lesson in German. I'm not going to speak a word of English the entire time, try and teach you some German and get across the point that you can teach and students can remember what you've taught even if you're not speaking the same language. And that was incredibly useful actually, and by the end of it we were all speaking German conversations to each other, and he'd managed to deliver this German lesson by not speaking a word of English for a whole hour. And that sort of feeds into what you do on the second day, which is give a lesson basically. So we were put into groups of 3 and told to basically go and plan a lesson. You learn sort of in the classroom, and especially on the online stuff as well, how a lesson is sort of prepared. There are examples of that are sort of shown and done on the Saturday. So through many different things such as gesture, props, games, repetition, things like that, you manage to teach your students the language that they might not even speak. So again, it might differ with different classes and different courses. I don't expect everybody will have to do this, but luckily for us we had a lot of people in our class that spoke different languages. So for example, in our class there was a lad who spoke Bulgarian, there was a girl who spoke Arabic. Again, to sort of get across the point that you don't have to speak the same language, our teacher had a different idea. Steve split us up into groups and gave us a language to teach. And obviously this is way, way harder than doing it in English. Obviously I can teach English because I speak it, but we were given the language of French because it was like, what language do you speak? Me and the 2 guys that I was with were like, well, we did GCSE French, and he was like, that's fine, you can teach French. So we actually found not difficult, but like it was harder than teaching English, I'll say that. You are marked on the lesson that you deliver at the end of the weekend. The lesson lasts about 20 minutes, and I think that's why we overran a little bit. Yeah, genuinely, it was really great to get feedback from our tutor to tell us what we could improve on. 2 12-hour days does not sound a barrel of laughs. It sounds very intensive, but in the end we ended up having a really fun weekend. I feel like I learned a huge amount. I just feel like it was really beneficial, as well as teaching English as a foreign language, just teaching in general. I feel like it was good. He really taught us how to engage a class. So that was sort of my experience of the TEFL weekend. I really hope I've explained it well. I feel like I haven't really said anything. I feel like I've just confused myself, but I hope that you have managed to take something from this. Like I say, the Saturday is mainly going through the sort of structure of a lesson and getting to know your group, and also running through the grammar and that sort of thing that you'll be teaching as well, the specific language that you'll be teaching as well. On the Sunday, it's mainly centered around delivering your lesson. This video was just on the classroom section. I am going to be doing a part 2 for the online stuff. If you guys are thinking about doing TEFL, or if you are currently doing a TEFL course and you have a classroom course coming up, then I hope you've enjoyed the video. If I haven't sort of addressed any questions that you might have, do leave them down in the comments and I will try and answer any that you have. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!